Hey there, guys. Welcome back to Get Going Fast, where we're getting into this excellent hobby of AI in a quick and efficient manner in which you might actually learn something. And today, we're going to look at it's a pretty cool app. It's a surprise app. Kind of popped up on my radar, and I think it's actually pretty good. It's this one. It's called videodb, the default collection, and it's actually going to be over here. There's actually a main site for it as well. Okay, so but we're gonna install the back end on our server. Okay, so we're gonna actually create a server, and we're gonna create a front end so that we can be hitting this. But it's gonna be all using APIs. Okay, so the cool thing about this is it's actually not gonna be taking any resource on your machine other than your basic CPU resource of running a server. What does it do? Well, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. Essentially, what you can do with this is you can upload videos and you can have it do a bunch of different tasks on it. So you could actually upload 2 videos and say, take the voice from video 1 and put it onto video 2. So it actually would transcribe the second video with the new voice. You could say things like, censor this video. Every time you hear a curse word, put a beep. I did a test and I put every time you heard the word AI, beep it out. And it did these kind of things. So you're actually going to be able to upload your media and speak to it as a virtual agent that will do the stuff. What's the catch? What's the catch? There's always a catch, right? Like, you got to ask yourself, if the food's free, what's the catch? And the catch is that it runs off of API. So while you can do incredible stuff like with switching the voices out, you're going to need an 11 Labs API to do that. You know, you're going to have to pay them money to do that. If you're going to want to use some deeper stuff, you're going to have to buy credits through the console here. Now, the good thing is that clicking around on buttons, it actually does give you quite a bit. Gives you like a free $25 at the beginning that you can just play with. So that's really cool. It does have tiers, and so you can get used to this. Now, why did I pick this app? Normally we focus on our open source free stuff. I picked this app because, one, it's a very interesting install. Okay, we're going to end up having to install some Java stuff here. There's a back-end server. There's a front-end server. I thought this would be a good example of setting up a more complicated system. I think you guys will enjoy going through this step by step. This is a good hobby app. The second is, it actually is a good app. If you are you're keen with spending some money on getting stuff, I actually think this app runs really well. So I've actually been impressed with it. So, I think it's got a place in the on the menu. So we're going to take a look at that. But before we do, thank you for liking the channel and subscribing. I really do appreciate it. The word of mouth is great, and I think you all can agree that this channel and this community here has been a blessing for many. It's good to work with other good people on our projects together. Always better to work together than to work alone. I mean, it's nice to work alone every once in a while, but every once in a while it's nice just to kind of look over and be like, oh yeah, he's still here, my buddy's over here, and now I can go back to just doing my own thing. It's a community thing, and so thank you very much for being part of that. I truly do appreciate that. Okay, we're going to move on. Do want to remind you that we have over at getgoingfast.pro, you can come be part of what's going on over there, and you can all sorts of apps that you can sit and play with over there. Just kind of go pick and choose and just find something that you want to install. And we have quick installers so that you can get into it. You can get going fast, and it is of course dependent on your system being set up, but we'll walk you through that as well. So, all right, with all of that said, let's get back to videodb, doing this kind of interesting install and just kind of yoing it up together. Okay, yo. Okay, so to get going, as usual, we need to find the GitHub repository. So let's click back to our browser, and all we're going to do is we're just going to type up here videodb. GitHub. Okay, and you might find a few different things, but pretty much what we're looking for is this one. Oh, this one's probably the direct one because it's called Director. So that's actually what we're looking at. we're going to click on this bad mammer jammer. Okay, and it's going to bring you in here, and you can tell it's the right one because of the photo here. Okay, so this actually has a few different ways to install it. This has, I believe this has a Docker thing as well, but I don't use Docker. Okay, so we're going to do the open source, the local installation. So as usual, you come in here and you see all these files up here. We're going to end up pulling them down, but we don't want to just assume that we're going to pull these things down. That's one of the things when you're first getting into this stuff, you just think like, oh, I gotta get everything. Well, only get everything if you need it. Okay, I also want to point out this is an MIT license, so you guys can use this. And that's smart for them. They're saying, hey, use the software for free, because on the other side, you got to pay money to keep using it. So that's kind of clever on them. But you guys can do whatever you want with this. MIT license means you can change it, sell it, do whatever you want. Okay, so we're going to scroll down here. You can read through this all you want, or copy it, hit Control-A, copy the whole thing, throw it into ChatGPT and say, just summarize this. Okay, so now I want to point out a few things. Here's the getting started. So we need Python 3.9. We're going to need Node.js. So that's very important. This actually is not a difficult install, but it is a necessary install. Okay, and this npm. So we'll get all that done. Now the other thing I want you to point out is we've got our basics, our clone directory, all this stuff. But notice this, when we get down to run the setup script, oh good lord, it's a .sh file. So a .sh file is a Linux script file. So in Windows we use bat files, right? .bat. In Linux, they use .sh, which means that file is going to have all sorts of Linux commands in it that are going to mess us up. So we are going to end up not using this. Okay, I've got a couple tricks for how to get through it. And again, it's kind of what makes this sort of an interesting install, because you've got to do a few things to get to work. But I have verified that we can get this working. Okay. So, blah, 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 blur, blur, blur. We're just going to git clone this thing. We're going to go into the directory. We're going to have to change this file. So we're going to get a bunch of pip dependencies, okay? And then we're just going to go in here and we're going to do this make command. So that comes with our node and all this kind of stuff. And so you might have problems with this, so we're probably going to get into our environmental variables. Again, I'm telling you here, I'm looking you directly in the eye. This isn't a difficult installation, but it is an interesting one. So you're going to want to follow my lead on this one. All right, so let's go ahead, though, and get started with this, okay? So first thing we're going to do is let's go ahead and highlight this and copy it. So I'm going to highlight that, and I'm just hit Control-C. Okay, then we need to find a place where we're going to install it. So I'm going to pop on over to my command line, and I'm just going to create a temp directory just to put this in. You guys probably want to put this in something. Well, here, you probably want to do something like this. You want to basically have a folder that should be called something like AI Tools. Okay, mkdir means make directory, by the way. So we just made a directory called AI Tools. Now CD means change directory, AI Tools. And then what I would do is I would make another directory, mkdir, and I would call this videodb. And the reason I do it like this is just to help keep things organized. Otherwise, your system gets all messed up. You got things everywhere. But here you can know you got AI tools, and then every app has its own place within there. So I'm going to go cd videodb. Okay, now if I type dir, which means directory, you're going to see that we're yelling it up here, and there's nothing in there. So we pasted, we already copied the git clone thing, so we're going to go here and hit, do that. Let's go back and get it. Hold on, where am I at? So we're going to go over here again and make sure we got our git clone command. Then we can go back to our command prompt, and we're just going to hit Control-V. So we're going to git clone this address. So git, of course, is our application that pulls down things from the repository. So it's an application that says, hey, go get these files and do something with them. But it waits for us to tell them what to do, and we say, well, what we want you to do is to clone. So we're like, hey, Git, I would like you to clone something. And then we're like, what I would like you to clone is this, okay? And so it's going to actually create a folder called director. So it clones it in, it goes bang, like this, all the files come down. Now, if you watch, if I type dir, you're going to see there's a folder called director. Okay, and now if I type cd director, which means change directory, so I'm going to go into that directory. Now, if I type dir, you're going to see all of the files that we made. In fact, there's our setup.sh that we were looking at, and all of that. So we could go back to our instructions over here, and you'll see that it actually had a CD in there, and it had us run the setup script. But if you've done this stuff before, you'd know that you need to create a virtual environment before you do this, okay? First of all, we're not going to be able to run that at .sh because it's a Linux script. Second of all, you always want to run a virtual environment because it keeps your system from getting messed up. So you got to think of it like this. If I'm letting the kids paint on we got a nice dinner table, and I want to let the kids paint, okay? If I don't put something over that, like a cloth over that, they're going to paint, and it's going to get on the table, and it's going to end up leaving paint on the table. It's going to make it a mess. I might be able to wash it, but it's going to leave bits. So instead what I do is I put a cloth over it. Then I let the kids paint. Whatever gets off of the thing on the system, it doesn't matter because it's kept on the tarp, okay? So it keeps the one clean from the other. In the same way, when we're installing apps, we have our base system, okay? And that base system has dependencies that make all our other stuff work. And if we do not, which we don't want to do, but if we do not put something over there, then unfortunately, when we start to install other things, we start to change the stuff that's in here. It might have a version over here, and it changes the version, and then other things start breaking. I just recently was talking with a friend, a member of the GetGoingFast.pro community, and he was like, I install this one, and then it breaks the other, then I install this other, and it breaks this one. And I go, because you got to use virtual environments. Then it's an environment for each one. It's like, you got a toothbrush, I got a toothbrush, we all got a toothbrush, and we have a little thing that we all put our toothbrushes in, okay? No one has to use each other's toothbrush. And so similarly, we create virtual environments. Now, going back over here to the browser, you can see that it didn't mention that. And you have to be careful because a lot of these installation repositories don't mention the virtual environment. So you've got to get that in your head that you need to do that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to create our own virtual environment. So we're going to type Python. Now you should have Python 3.10 installed or 3.11. I say go 3.10, but you should never have Python 3.12 or 3.13. If you do, your system will not work. These apps won't work. You can check your version by typing Python space dash version, and it will pop up. If you see 3.12 or 3.13, you need to go back watch one of my other videos about how to fix that, okay? But if you got a good one in there, we're going to go like this. We're going to type Python -m, and that -m means we want to run something like a module, we want to run one of Python's little things that it does as its own app. And we're going to say we want to run the application called Vimv, which stands for virtual environment. And then we're going to give it a name, and we'll call it Vimv. We could call it whatever we want. We could call it my virtual environment if we wanted. Or you could call it, Fred, whatever. But what we do is we call it Vim because that's just kind of the way that people do it. And then if you ever see a Vim file, you know exactly what it is. So on a side note, by the way, Linux always puts a dot there. Yeah, we don't do that. In Windows, we just type Vim. Okay, so we're going to do this. So we're saying Python, create a virtual environment in this directory and call it Vim. Now watch. If I type dir again, notice it created a directory. And inside this directory is everything we need for our virtual environment, which means that once we start installing dependencies, she's going to go into here. But that also means we have to activate it. So we could have a tarp to put over the table, but if we don't put it over the table, it's no good. So what we do is we use the word call. So we're just saying, hey, I want you to run an application. And where's the application? It's in this Vim folder. I use a backslash to say it's in the this Vim folder. Then it's in a subfolder called scripts, and the name of the file is activate. Or you can type bat, but all you got to do is type activate. And call says to run that thing. So we do it, and notice now we are in our virtual environment. Okay, whew, we made it. Okay. Now, if we install stuff, it's in a good location. Not going to mess with anything else. Okay, so now it's time to go ahead and install our our stuff. Now, the directions say over here, again, we can go back to our browser, and as I've already put out, the directions say to run setup.sh, but it's not going to work because it's a Linux thing, okay? If you open that .sh file up, let's do it over here. We could put the words type, which means print out everything, setup.sh, and you'll see everything is in that file. Okay, and so you could go through there and figure out everything it's doing. I can tell you really quick, what all it's doing is creating a virtual environment for you, and all that kind of stuff. It's just setting stuff up that it's fine. We don't need it. We're going to do this all by hand. At any rate, it's all written in Linux script. So that's what's in there, but we're going to be fine. I'm going to hit CLS. Now, this is important. What we're going to do is we're going to type CD backend. Okay, well, let me actually show you the directories. If I type directory /AD, it shows only the directories. Notice there's a folder called backend. So I'm going to type CD backend. Now, if I type dir, you're going to see that there is a file called requirements.txt. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to install that. Okay, so what we can do is just highlight it, hit Control-C. Now we can type pip install. So pip is the Python package installer, so we're calling it directly, okay? And we're saying that what we want it to, and so we call it, it goes, okay, hey, you got it on the phone. You're like, hey, is this pip? It goes, yeah, what do you want? And we're saying install. So we're giving it directions, right? Because just because we're calling it doesn't mean it knows what to do. So we say, we want you to install, and then we're going to give it a flag here. This is called a flag. We'll just say, but not just a basic install. I want you to do a -r install, which means I want you to read it from a file. And what's the name of the file? Requirements.txt. So we're saying pip install from a file. Here's the name of the file. So we'll hit enter. Now this will go in there and it'll start to go through the file. So we'll sit here and let this go. I'm probably going to pause this because it's going to take a little bit of time. But then we'll be right back. Okay, that didn't take very long, but it was still a good pause because I ended up sneezing like a madman. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do, we type dir, and now notice there's this requirements-dev as well. So we want to install this one as well. So I'm going to just highlight it, press Control-C. Then we go down here and do the same thing. Pip install -r, and then now requirements.dev. So same thing, pip, I want you to install from a file. This is the name of the file. So we'll go ahead and hit that. And she's going to go do her business. So we sit here and we wait, because that's just what we do. Okay, now, this is where our Java comes in, okay? And so I'm going to walk us to where we need to go, but it's not going to work. So then I'm going to show you what we have to do to get it working. So at this point, by the way, these directions over here are pretty much, we don't need them anymore. Okay. So we'll need them later for running the app, but pretty much we've run out of the usefulness of this. So at this point, you just need to follow the directions that I'm going to get you going with. All right, so let's pop on over to here. And what we want to do is we want to get out of this directory. We want to get back to the director folder. So we're going to type cd ... and that ... means go back one directory. Watch, if we change directory and just did one dot, look, it just keeps us in the same directory. So we go cd ... and it takes us back. Now if we type dir /AD, and again, what that does is it basically saying show all directories. We're going to see there's one called front end. So we're going to go to CD, change it, and go into front end. Now, if we type dir here, you're going to see a bunch of files here. And here's the key thing. We got this make file here, okay? And we need to, basically, this is like IKEA. So we actually, it's given us the files, but we have to create it on our system. And this is where our Java is going to come in. So we're going to need something called Node.js. Right now, the directions that we would need is, we would say call npm install, but it's not going to work because it's not there. So what we need to do is install Node.js. So this is how you do it. We're going to type winget install Node.js. Okay. Now winget is the Windows package manager, so you can install basic Windows stuff with winget. It's a nice, easy way to get stuff done. If your winget is not working, then you need to do some troubleshooting to make sure it works. Sometimes with Windows 10 systems, it messes up. Now you can't see it, but it popped up a thing on my thing, and I had to give it permission, and it went ahead and installed it. So now, if we type npm, notice it's going to know what it is. Okay, so it installed this. Now we're in the front end, so we're going to go call npm install, and it's going to rock through this. Now, I do want to show you something while this is doing it. You might run into this problem. Okay, actually, before I move on with that, you'll see that this actually installed it. Now, it says too moderate to severity vulnerabilities. That's because you're not running a production level stuff. You're running this on your local machine, which is fine. But this is installed. But now, you might have got an error that said CMake is not installed. So CMake is a way that this is installing our Java stuff, but CMake installs C programming. If you get that error, it means you don't have CMake installed. So let me walk you through that really quickly, how to get that installed. You just go to your browser, type download CMake, and then you're going to go here and you'll see CMake. You got the little triangle. Okay, really easy. Okay, we're just going to Windows 64 installer. You click that, it's going to download it, put it in your downloads folder. Let me pop this thing up so you can see. Here, real quick. Hold on just one moment. Okay, so it's just your basic installer. So you just kind of march through this, okay, accept the terms. Now here's going to be the key thing. Make sure you add it to your path environment variable, okay? Because you need to be able to access it. So like when a command hits, says CMake, it knows where to go. Now, it's going to put it in your program files. I like to put this kind of stuff on my C drive. That way, if I had to go in there and add the variable myself, I know where it's at. Okay, so I prefer to put it on the C. You can put it where you can put it with program files. The main thing is it's got to be in the environmental variables. Okay, and get that going. You're all done. I'm going to cancel that. Cancel that. I'm going to cancel out on all this, and I'm going to go back over to our command. So now we have this thing installed. What we did so far, okay, is we what did we do? We installed our Node.js. Okay, we made sure we had CMake on there. Okay, we get cloned the directory, went into the backend folder. It was under directory. Oh, we created our virtual environment, went into our directory and then our backend folder, and we pip installed both the requirements.txt and the requirements-dev.txt. Okay, all of those in there. Then we went over to we went back to the directory folder and then forward into the front end folder, and from there we ran call npm install. Okay, so what that did is it got the system set up, but and it will run at this point. Okay, but we have to do one other thing before we do that. We have to set up the APIs and all of that. So let's do that here really quick. So we're going to pop over to our browser, okay, and we're going to go to this folder or this file, and it's called console.videodb.io. Okay, you should be able to get that from the repository as well. But you're going to come here. It's going to bring you to this dashboard. You're going to have to sign in, and it's going to should automatically give you a key. Now I'm going to delete this since this has now been online. But what we're going to do is we're going to get a key to use, and this is how we're going to access this. Right now, if we ran this program, this would not it would not show us anything because it can't access. So you got to have this. So we'll make sure we got this key. Okay, then we got to go and we got to alter a file. Clicking on stuff. Although my desktop's starting to get messy here. All right, let's click back over to our command line here, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to the director folder. So I'm going to go cd ... and I'm going to hit CLS to clear my screen, just so I can, clear screen, clear mine. Now I'm going to go back into my back end because we're working on the back end. That's you know, where the API, all the magic happens behind the scenes, right? And now if I type dir, you're going to see there's a file called .env.sample. We need a .env file, okay? So this is basically giving us a template. But because it's got .sample at the end of it, it's not the actual one that we need. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to actually go ahead and copy it. So I'm going to go copy, and I'm going to type the name of the file, copy.env.sample. So I'm saying copy that, and then I'm going to give it a new name, .env. And it's going to make one copy real quick. All right, and then now you're going to see that we actually went ahead and made that copy. If we type dir for directory, we're going to see that we made a .env file. Now this .env file is very important, so let's go ahead and take a look at it. And to take a look at it, because this is where we're going to add our APIs and some other stuff. So to open up, we're going to type .env. No, we're not going to type type. We're going to type notepad. My apologies. Notepad in the name of the file. And what that's going to do is it's going to pop up your actual notepad like this. So there you go. Pops up in our notepad. Now you're going to notice we've got a few things. Our videodb API key. That's going to be our most important thing just to get the app working. So we're going to click back to our browser. Okay. Now you can go here to where it gives you this API key. All right. Not a big deal. We're just going to click it and it copies it. Okay. Hey, great. That's easy peasy. Now we're going to pop back over here and we'll just press Control V. It pastes it in there. And now the app's actually ready to go. But I want you to notice you've got other stuff in here. You're going to have your 11 abs key, your beat oven, whatever you want to put here. Look at, you got clean in here. You can have it recreate stuff. So really what this app is doing is it's connecting all these services and it's taking care of it for you. And it does it, it's pretty good. So that's why I'm suggesting it to you guys. But anyway, so we got our key in there. We're not going to worry about 11 labs. You can do that later. We'll press Control S. We save it. Now what we got to do is we got to go run this bad mamma jamma. Okay, so now that's all set up. But before we do that, we got to do one more setup in the front end. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and type cd ... It's going to take us back one directory. And now we want to go to our front end directory again. So we were dealing with the back end, right? That's the server side. Now we need to work with the graphical user interface. Okay, now what's going to end up happening, let me explain before we do this. What ends up happening is you run the server in the back and then you have like your web page. And so when you type your web page stuff in there, it takes that code and it sends it to the back end server. And the back end server does stuff with it. It gets information and then it serves it back to your website. So we did the thing back here. Now we got to work on this part. But when we're connecting these, they have to be sure that these are connected properly. And out of the box, these are not connected properly. If you notice, if I type dir, you're going to have another .env file. Okay. So just like the other one, it's a sample one. So we need to copy it. We're going to go copy .env.sample, and then we're going to say just call it .env. Okay. Now, if we just go ahead and we don't need to open up a notepad, we should say type .env. You're going to see it brings up this stuff, and it tells it where to find that server, which is at which is at local. This 127001 is localhost. That means your computer, but then it finds a port. So it's like going into a hotel. Like just because you know a hotel that someone's staying at doesn't mean you know where to find them. You need to have a room number. So like 8000 is the room number. So now it will know that the server is on your computer at this door. And since we changed it to .env, it'll load. So now we can run these two things. But I got to tell you, before we run these things, a couple things happen. Is you got to have to run two command windows because we're going to have to run the server, and then we're going to have to run the front end. So I'm going to show you how to I'll do this all manually, but what I would suggest you do is create a bat file. So figure out how to run this thing and then throw it into your own start thing. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to go cd dot dot. Now, we want to start the server first. Typically, you want to start the server so you have something to connect to. So we're going to type cd backend. Now, if I type dir//ad, it shows the directories. Notice there's another folder called director. So it's a little bit confusing because we're in a director folder with another director folder. So go cd director. All right. From here, now, we're going to need to go, if we type dir/ad, you'll see this one called entry point. So now we're going to go cd entry point. Okay. And then you'll see there's a folder called API. We'll go cd API. Now, if we just type dir, you're going to see there's a file called python server.py. So we had to go all the way to here, okay, to get there. So what I would do is just copy this all into a bat file so you don't have to run it, do this manually every time, but this is how you do it manually. And notice we're in the virtual environment. Now if I type python server.py, then it's going to load up. And notice it's running on HTTP 127.0.0.1. So the server is running. Now if we click there, it's just going to say, it's going to bring us to the server screen over here, which doesn't do anything, but it does tell us that it's there. Okay, so now what we do is we're going to minimize this thing. We're not going to touch it. This has to stay running, okay? And then what we have to do is go open up another command line, a brand new one. So let me show you here. Where'd it go? Okay, there we go. So now you head back to where you installed this thing. So we go to our AI tools, and we had videodb. So cd videodb. Then you'll see we have our director folder. Now, before we do this, you've got to notice we're not in the virtual directory. So in here, we created our Vim folder. So we're going to go call Vim backslash scripts. You know it's a backslash because the top of it's leaning backwards. And then activate. Okay, we're in our virtual environment. So that means everything that we did was in there. Now we're going to go cd front end. Okay, remember we've already got our what do you call it, our back end running. That's over here. Okay, so there's our back end. Now we're working on the front end. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to type npm. This is part of our Node.js, and we're type run dev. Okay, and that's going to pop up. Notice it's running on localhost 8080, and it brings up a screen that looks like this. So it looks like this, but notice it's all grayed out, which means that something's not working, so it's not connecting to the server. If it comes up like this, something's the problem. So let's go back, take a look, see what happens. Let's go back to our command line. Okay, and we're going to cancel this out. Let's just press Control-C. This is the server. That way we don't have to close the whole thing out. But I already know what the problem is. Let's go back to... Oh, well, shoot. We're going to have to drift this. So tell you what, let's do it this way. It's going to be a little bit easier. Let's go to our File Explorer. Okay. And over here, let's go to, we've got our AI tools, videodb, director, backend. Let's go to this .env. We'll click Edit in Notepad. Okay. And that's going to pop it up into here. Now, here's the issue. This was the sample stuff. We put our key here. We actually have to delete all the stuff that we're not using. So that's why you want to keep the sample there. So if you need one, you go put it in there. So like if you're going to need to put the 11 labs, you can just, or a cling, you would just copy it with in there. But you can't have blank ones in here. So that was my bad. My apologies. So we'll hit that. We'll go ahead, just Control-S, save that. Now if we go back to our server, we run this thing again, python server.py. That's going to pop up. We make sure that our, other one's running. Now if we go to the browser, there it is. It loads up. Okay, so very cool. And from here, you can do all your stuff. You can upload your media, all that. If you click this button down here, videodb console, it'll bring you up to this page over here, and then you can, it gives you, like I said, it gives you 25 free bucks you can play with. So you can go ahead and do all that. You can sign up for more stuff. They actually have a lot of good demos here too. So you can click the demos, see all of the different types of stuff that you can do with it. Okay. Okay, so what you can do here is you do stuff like this. You click your upload to upload your media. It'll store it down here, and then you refer to it by whatever the name is. You can also press here to get a video ID, but then you do stuff like this. So like the simple one you can do is you say use, notice this one's called BARM1, use BARM1 and censor it every time the word AI is used or the words get going. Okay, and you'll hit it, it'll go through that, it'll process it. It actually does this on videodb. You don't need anything other than videodb for this, but then it goes through the whole process, it transcribes it, it figures it out, and then here's like the video it gave me back.
I want to tell you about the best way to get into do it fast. Quick and easy to follow instructions and installers to get you going fast and creating things.
There you go. So you see how I sent the video up, it processed it. You could also do stuff like you could tell it to lighten up a video, give you transcripts about it, to cut it. I use some ones here to cut it down to a certain amount of seconds. Say give me timestamp from here to here. So if you've got some money put into it over here on your videodb console, this actually is an incredibly helpful tool. And then you got everything running locally there, okay? But you got to run the two things. So create the bat file, get it going, and it'll run two windows, and then you can use this really great app. This is a fun installation, you know, fun, right? This is a good hobby installation. It's going to really teach you a lot about Python. ChatGPT is your best friend if you're having problems with this. But honestly, if you follow the process I got you going here, everything should be fine. Of course, you can always get this over at GetGoingFast.pro. I've got a quick installer over there for you. Just go to videodb.getgoingfast.pro, and you can download it there, and it'll do everything for you. So, all right, well, we're going to leave you there. Hope you guys enjoy yourself, have a lot of fun with this. Share with me the stuff that you've been working on. I'd love to see it. Love to hear your stories of how well you got this going. In the meanwhile, you guys stay good. Get out there. It's summertime. It's such a good time. Get out some sun and just enjoy the family. We'll catch you on the other side. Yo.